done talking to Ajax about he wanted to clear the air.
I figured he might.
Though I still kind of feel like he wanted me to just I don't know if he understood, even though I asked him directly, I didn't get any acknowledgement. Like, does he understand that I didn't give a fuck what he did? It's the feeding me bullshit unnecessarily.
That he lied.
Yeah. I mean, even that, it's like, listen, if you got to lie about it, lie about it. But when you go into building a entire narrative that now all of a sudden, like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to think, like, people call it riddles. You know, they think I'm the riddler, when I think they just may not understand, like, proper English.
Entirely possible. I will say, I think you being called the Riddler is maybe a bit of a... It's a bit of a meme and not like an entirely like
I know.
thing.
I'm joking.
Don't crash out over people calling you the Riddler, Nino, please.
Sorry, I was trying to meme myself bringing it up.
Okay.
Like, like, well, I feel like a lot of what I consider to be normal conversations are very difficult to have in San Andreas. Like, I don't know what it is.
People are... I don't think that it's even necessarily a Los Santos San Andreas thing. I mean, maybe it's a bit exaggerated here, but people are generally sensitive and generally self-interested. There are exceptions to that rule, and there is, of course, spectrums for both of those things. But, you know, when you try and have frank, blunt, maybe, discussions that they can perceive as an attack on themselves or their interests, then they're not interested.
Yeah. San Andreas has always had a very different than normal demographics have changed dramatically. It's a lot more TikTok-y.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I can see that. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But I don't want to go too deep into that because I'm not trying to say anything weird. It's just, it's one of those things I have to be considerate of. Oh my God.
It's true. It's fair.
Yeah.
I wanted to check in with you after the Ajax conversation to make sure you weren't crashing out. But I also...
I have, like, I mean, genuinely for me, it's like, you know, we can have the conversation, but I don't think anything really changes with that conversation. I think in his mind, maybe it does, but like I said, I'm expecting... Yeah, I mean, I didn't even... I mean, I explained to him exactly what the issue was, and I didn't even get an acknowledgement that he understands the problem, right? And
yeah,
I think this goes back to San Andreas, like, sociology and psychology, is that in San Andreas, I think a lot of people have a tough time being like, I get it, and like acknowledging that they understand the grievance.
Being empathetic.
Well, empathetic's a bit strong. Everyone wants to fucking act like a fucking gangster, even on dumb shit.
Yeah. See, I never understood the mentality, and maybe it's just because, like, I'm not from a place like Los Santos, but I never understood the mentality of, like, someone said a mean word about me, so I'm gonna shoot them. Like, what an escalation of farce. Like,
oh my God, tell me about it.
I don't get it. Like, why are you so sensitive? If someone said a mean word about you, either get over it, work with them productively,
say some shit back.
Or say your shit back. Like, just like, but you don't need to fucking kill somebody over it. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I've never understood Los Santos conflict resolution, but
yeah, so I mean, it went well. Like, I listened to him, but at the end of it, I tried to give him some rope to just be like, I acknowledge and understand why you were fucking pissed, and I apologize. Like, and I don't even need him to say I apologize, but some kind of acknowledgement. And I didn't get that.
I see where you're coming
now,
from.
he doesn't owe me that by any means, but at the same time, I'm not gonna fucking want him anywhere near me then, because I sometimes think that people don't realize you might be your own man, but right now you work for Pred. You work for like a member of the government.
Exactly.
And if you're gonna be in like satellite anything that I'm working on, and you're a like a
representation of the view.
A representation, or you might, what's the word I'm looking for? A liability, right? Because a controlled liability is one thing, right? Like like I said, you go do something illegal, fine, you know, don't gloat about it, don't bring it up during meetings and shit. But if you do it, put me in the crosshairs, get me involved, and then like make up some shit. Now all of a sudden I have like a bigger problem, right?
Yeah.
Because now I have to be like, okay, now not only do I know you stole the drill, but now I also know you're lying like so severely about it. So like, what do you like? I don't know. I genuinely don't understand the thought process.
No, I get what you're saying. Because like, thing is, right? It's like, I mean, I'm in your cabinet, right? And that's not to say that I might never like accidentally say something like I shouldn't or do something I shouldn't, but I'm still trying my best to operate with like I am a reflection of Nino. I am a reflection of this government. Everything I say is going to be viewed as an extension of that, and I need to act appropriately, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't just be twatting out whatever or, you know, like saying whatever in unknown company, you know? Mistakes happen, sure, but I still have to recognize that I'm a reflection of you.
Yeah, and at least be considerate when an action is perceived a certain way. I mean, even I got to do that, right? There's a lot of shit. Like, transparently, I think the PD is fucking utterly dog shit, right?
Yeah.
But they like, I try my best not to get on Twitter and fucking crash out, right? I'm doing that.
That's why I wasn't
know...
upset when you said stuff to me in the meeting today about like when you basically told me to shut up, because I was like, nope, he's right. Like, I fucked up. Like, I immediately saw the issue and it was fine. Like,
yeah, it. Which one was it?
When I was bringing up the car repair stuff in the briefing, and you were like, put a pin in it, we'll talk it after.
Yeah,
and I was I was like, nope. I immediately see like I misphrased it accidentally, like, and it came out in a way I didn't intend. And as soon as you said that, I was like, nope. Like,
yeah,
he's right. I'm dumb. Like,
and so sometimes it's just me recognizing the position that we're in and not I shouldn't. There's decisions that need to be made that don't have time or bandwidth to explain, right?
Yes.
It's really just comes with the job. It's the same kind of, which is something that's I feel is just missing. You know what? I feel like that's the core thing that's missing from the PD. There's no backbone. That includes the sheriff's department, right?
I'm honestly really disappointed in if what Alana told us was true about, well, you shouldn't have said that because you should be supportive of Spade because she worked hard on it. I'm kind of disappointed in that take.
Yikes.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I get what they're saying, and if they want to come at her for being professional or whatever, like, I get that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're a reflection of the PD. How do you think it looks if you're talking shit on PD and on Twitter or whatever? But she should still be able to speak up if she believes in officers conducting their job in bad faith.
I agree and disagree. I think I agree given that it's now in court, right?
Yes.
Prior to that, I can understand it being an active investigation. And I do agree with you that it's an age-old mentality. I don't know where the fuck this seeped in. The fucking thin blue line. Outside of San Andreas, the thin blue line is one of the most recognizably hated principles in policing, because it breeds a mentality of hiding police misconduct
and stuff. Yeah.
It's a very fucking dangerous route, because that's how, you know, anyways. So yeah. I think the conversation tomorrow's gonna be good. some of the things that need to be discussed, namely with this process. I am somewhat concerned that everyone and their mother wants to come attend it, which I think is a little. I am not a big fan of too many
Too
voices.
many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Who all is supposed to
Because
be there? Our cabinet, justices, like what?
that's why I'm inviting the entire cabinet, right? If they want to bring the entire entourage, we're going to do the same. But I'm only doing it on the principle of, like, I know it's going to get out of hand. So this is going to sound a little dastardly. I know it's going to go out of hand already because it goes against the principle of that SAG document to begin with. Because the only voices that matter is mine, Pred, the 3 justices, and Dr. Naya. Every other opinion should not be involved.
We are your staff, not your job.
Correct. And like legally speaking. And so every other voice has an opportunity through their respective hierarchy produce their opinions on the matter. Right? So I don't know what the format's going to look like, but I'm going to go in somewhat cautiously. But and
it's better than the nothing we've been getting.
Exactly. So. That's exactly it. Yes. Yep. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it kind of goes.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, something's better than nothing. I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. And even high command in relation, I don't know where Pred was going with. Pred loved him to death, but sometimes his mental is 20 yards ahead from where where we're currently standing. He may have forgotten fundamentally his cops should be going to him with their concerns. He needs to be representing them. It doesn't, and if they choose not to use him to represent them, then they don't have a voice.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's true.
Because FOIA is not a PD matter. I hate to say it.
Say again. You broke up a little.
FOIA is inherently not a PD matter. It's a civil rights matter. So
yeah, absolutely.
The function of difficulty, this and that, cannot solely fall into what the PD wants to do and doesn't want to do. That's just not reasonable. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, as much as, you know, the PD is fucking stone horrendous in a lot of ways, like, we have a lot of systemic issues that are not just the PD. Like you said, FOIA is a rights issue. The legislative process is a fucking shambles. Like, there's a whole bunch of issues in the system more than just the PD sometimes doesn't know how to do their jobs and doesn't have a backbone. Speaking of which, brief segue. Well, I don't know how brief it's going to be, but things I didn't get to bring up with you earlier in the meeting because I've still been around the last few days while you were gone. You might be interested to know, if you haven't heard already, that because Wednesdays are UPD meetings, right? And BCSO comes down here. I came in as they were doing it, so I missed the very beginning of it. But they're bringing up the SK trial again and trying to enforce what charges LSPD is pushing. I sent you some texts about it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I sent you some texts. I was kind of live tweeting my adventures to you while you were away, so before I forgot stuff. But yeah, so basically Ventura and Cassidy were up at the podium, and they were. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll just read my text here. So walked into the briefing. Ventura is arguing about the definitions of engaging in a shootout. Cassidy's with him at the podium.
That's the argument I brought up. Oh my god.
They are arguing that victims are
still freaking out about that.
They're still on it. I literally was dumbfounded as soon as I walked in the door. But they were arguing that victims and losers of gunfights are still part of the gang-related shooting charges as well, saying that if other officers don't press the charge to the same standard, then criminals are going to be pissed off that things aren't applied the same across the board. And
That's
they were
not how
effectively
it works.
They were effectively peer pressuring LSPD into applying things to the same standard as them. In fairness, Viv did speak up and was like, you need to be able to articulate charges and that charges aren't prescriptive.
Yeah.
But like BCSO was basically like, we're pressing this standard. This is the way you should be pressing them. Like, you guys need to be doing that, so we're all doing it the same. And I was sitting there like, this is
Was
really weird.
Moss there? And
No, Peters and Moss were not there. Maxwell was the highest LSPD rank that was present. I
oh
rode
my
along with her
God.
later in the day,
Yeah.
and I asked her how she felt about that, and she was like, I have a lot of feelings about that. But she said that
Yeah.
they didn't, because I was like, did they consult with you before doing this? Like, is this a unified front that they were just, being the
Yeah.
ones presenting? And she said, not really, that they had like a little bit of a chat, but that Maxwell had told them that she wanted to consult with a judge first because she had already
Yeah.
like briefly spoken with one, and they were talking about maybe clarifying the verbiage of the charge, and that she wanted to get that clarification from the DOJ before
Yeah.
like informing the PD as a whole, which I think is
Yeah.
very reasonable and smart.
Yeah.
But BCSO, I guess, just said fuck it and told everyone that anyways.
Huh?
So like they came down to the UPD meeting and
Nah.
told LSPD that like basically they were like, the reason we lost in court is actually wrong, and you should be doing this so that we're all doing it at the same
what?
standard. Yeah, it was
they're
nuts.
claiming that they lost a court case
Well, 'cause
wrongly.
they were saying that the definitions of engaging in a shootout is like not that you fired a gun. If you're present and blah blah blah, and you can articulate that they're in a gang, then like you need to be pressing the charge, even if they're like,
What?
gee, it was crazy. Like I
Are
don't
they
remember the
s-
full details because it was like 3 days
They
ago.
have
But yeah, it
to
was,
be. What are they? Where are they learning this shit from?
I don't know.
I don't like. They okay. It's either retardation, right? Which is possible. San Andreas can do that to you, where it warps your mind so much you lose all sense of anything you've learned before like arriving here, because you don't just like. That's like working backwards with the like. I don't understand. Like, you can't just like redefine what a basic English word means. Like, so if oh my god, I'm like
Yeah,
actually
it's-
getting an aneurysm. Like it's
It
actual.
was
There's no
wild.
better descriptor than retardation. Like genuinely.
I was
Like,
sitting there and I was like, I know Wednesdays are normally Nino's day off, but I really wish that he was
I think
here
I'm
for
gonna
this
start
shit.
going to every Wednesday meeting now.
I think you have to, because that's when they do the UPD
Yeah.
meetings, and that's when all the bullshit happens.
Yeah.
Like, at least show up for briefing and then be like,
Um,
bye.
I think I'm gonna make a new standard that cops shot in Los Santos and LSPD are worth 5 times as much as BCSO. And then I'm gonna reduce the fine.
What do you mean? For the charge?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just so like I'm so shell shocked. Like, how are these people in positions of power? Do they not?
I was flabbergasted that they were still bringing it up. Like,
I
and that it
don't
was
think you
still an
understand
issue.
how hard I cooked them in that bench trial. I didn't expect SK to say what he did. I attacked them because I don't understand, why did they, like, don't they have any common sense that they only witness a person passed out in a passenger seat, no weapon, no GSR? How are you even articulating probable cause that he is engaged?
Well, and they were like, just because like they were like, he
Try
probably
thinking
rolled
the
up. Well, they
23
didn't say
months.
escape. They're saying like general like gangsters, right? Like they were like, if someone rolls up intending to engage in a shootout and then just gets clapped right out the go
you
before they.
can't- That's speculation.
And I was like, yeah, I was like, that's exactly.
How do you know
yeah.
they didn't? Someone didn't roll up to him and shoot him through the window,
Yeah, like I just,
right?
it was,
Like he could have been
exactly.
a victim. You stupid, brainless fucks.
Yeah,
Like,
it
they
was
are
wild.
actually retarded. I think. Like
But
genuinely.
the thing that pissed me off the most about it, I mean, I was incredulous that like they were still bringing it up, and I'm flabbergasted at the way they're trying to push this charge in general. But the thing that pissed me off is like they came down here to tell LSPD how to do their jobs.
When
in
they lost in
LSPD
court.
Yeah, like, and they didn't consult with LSPD and say, hey, like, we have this thought. What are your thoughts? Do we agree on this? Can we present this? I mean,
Yeah.
apparently they had some sort of conversation with Maxwell, but Maxwell says she's told them that she wanted to speak to a judge, and like they just kind of went and tried to cook on the podium anyways. Like, and Maxwell's the only like member of command there, and I guess Viv, and like Viv was like, make sure you can articulate your charges, which like good for Viv, but like what are they supposed to say to an undersheriff, right? This stems into other
I
discussions.
think for some reason BCSO thinks that they are. A long time ago, I'm going to tell you a story. A long time ago, there was a justice named Coop Holiday, who's my best friend. Him, along with some other guy named Dick, started the DOJ. Coop Holiday was a dictator, and he occasionally would swing his dick. He was like the fixer, right? And he was sort of granted these uncontested ability to change things when necessary, right? This similarly was then passed on to probably the best judge that has ever been in Los Santos. He went by the name of Justice. Oh my God, the name's escaping me right now. Justice. Oh my God. I'm gonna need to look this up. Give me a sec. Okay. I got it. Justice Labat. And he, very similar to Coop, was, and this was at a time where the law was, there was no constitution, but he also had to operate under the notion of like sometimes he would effectively make decisions as was needed, right? Ever since then, there has been a slow creeping of those, you know, when he eventually retired. But ever since he stepped down, there was almost a slow creeping of what I describe as, despite those powers having been taken away, there's been an attempt to slowly creep that sort of mentality back without any authorization, without any authority. Because after Labar came senators. After senators came the consul. After the consul came this constitution. So, but the notion that judges could be like Coop or Labar is just a figment of imagination, you know? And I find very similarly, the police department also went through similar evolution, right? Where the PD would often get poked by the government, by the senators, et cetera, and that for some reason that has resulted to these sort of odd referee style policing that I witness on a day-to-day. And so when you stand back and say, you aren't a referee, you dumb fuck, you're a police officer that acts on probable cause on specific charges, they don't get it. But rather what we are witnessing is a referee saying, Manor is shooting Cypress, they both need to fairly be charged unless I'm having sex with one of them. Am I making sense with that analogy?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, you cannot play referee between two gangs. You can't say, well, I know that they're in a shootout because San Andreas, I'm going to give everyone the same charge because that's not legal. Because half of them may have actually shot and the other half didn't. It doesn't mean they all get thrown in. You have to be able
to articulate the charges for each individual.
Yeah, you can't just say, oh, yep, it's a gang shootout, gonna throw them all in for the same amount. No, you still need basic PC. But for some reason, and this is the scary thing about the SK case, is that they never had any of that. Because
I mean, they would have even had an easier time trying to push like an accomplice or accessory charge rather than like the actual full charge. I mean, even still, I don't think they really had grounds
No,
for it.
they
But like,
didn't.
at least that's
Yeah.
better than just actually giving them gang-related shooting. Like, you know,
Yeah,
it,
it's insane.
it's just the fact that this is still being brought up. But I think, I think the issue stems from it too, is that PD is trying to play nice and you know, not step on toes and whatever. But I think there's also like a lot of confusion of like, because I try and tell officers, I'm like, you know, if they're BCSO taking charge in Los Santos, like it is your jurisdiction. Like you are able to say, hey, this is my jurisdiction. But they have these first come first.
That is my first and biggest disappointment with
Hmm.
Daisy is she hasn't enlisted in her ranks the
Hmm.
feeling of ownership. And as much as she may not recognize it, is where a lot of disappointment comes from a lot of folks.
I
Right?
think the thing is though, is that like they don't understand that it doesn't matter if Sheriff Bones himself comes down here, like, and you're just an officer. This is still your jurisdiction and not his.
It's
But
literally your responsibility having been appointed.
But because he is a
Um,
higher rank than them, they feel like they have to listen to him or whoever the fuck, you know, could be McNulty or Ventura or whoever,
well,
right? If it's a higher
that's the
rank,
thing. It
they feel
needs
they
to
have
be
to listen. It's like,
instilled. Like, if
yeah.
Vivian needs to stand up, or Maxwell needs to stand up and be like, "Well, we didn't agree to this. This is our county." Then they better listen up, right? What is
Hmm.
BCSO doing, giving prescriptions on shootings in the
Yeah.
South Side?
And
It's just
the
odd,
thing is
let
they won't
alone
step up
inappropriate.
to a higher rank. And the other thing is they have this first come, first serve policy, right? As far as who's
Yeah.
primary on a scene. And I get some of the logistics of that, right? Because if someone's there first, they have a bigger picture of what's going on, right? But
Mm,
um if BCSO is showing up first, and from what I'm hearing, a lot of them are because, well, first of all, lately LSPD has been pushing for more traffic stops, community policing, etc., which is great. But it means that they're often wrapped up in smaller things. And then when a bigger thing pops off,
yeah.
BCSO gets there first.
Mm.
Also, BCSO has control of the interceptor cars and certification. There's only 3 interceptor certed
Uh,
LSPD officers,
they
so they're
have their
getting
own
there
cert now,
literally
though.
faster. For
Does
interceptor,
LSPD's got their own interceptor cert now.
it's headed by Ventura. Ventura's the one in charge of getting out the interceptor certs.
That should have changed like 3 weeks ago.
I don't believe so. There's literally only 3 interceptor, like actually fully certed, not trainees,
Are you
LSPD officers.
sure about that? Maybe they never found an interceptor person.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
Ventura is. I know. Forte was trying to get interceptor certed, and
yeah,
I know Jack was trying to get interceptor certed.
yeah.
And
Wait.
everyone
No,
is talking about having to.
Bradford is the LSPD cert lead.
I don't. I don't know
He's
if he's
shift
the
two.
cert lead for it. I know he's
Yeah.
certed, I think, but
No. He's the lead. Now that I remember. Yeah,
but
he
I know
is.
officers have been saying that they have to go to Ventura to get their certs.
No. They may not know, but that probably is a communication breakdown.
But like from what I've been hearing, like BCSO has all the cars. They basically have a chokehold on the cert, and like they're sometimes even just patrolling an interceptor. So they're literally
Yeah.
just physically getting there
Well,
faster
I mean,
sometimes, and LSPD doesn't compete with that.
the
Like,
problem is like historically, the thing is that LSPD High Command has been consistently bending over to crying,
mhm.
instead of putting their foot down, right? And so this has like been a systemic issue for the past couple months.
Yeah,
Those interceptors are paid for. Maeve, they helped pay for some of the shit, and then they tried taking it. They had PD pay for some of the vehicles, and all it takes is them to kick a little bit. And unfortunately, High Command continues to flop on their own responsibility. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I mean, in all
this,
reality, I think interceptors are the smallest part of the issue, but I think, you know, it's a
well,
contributing factor.
it's a
But like,
contributing factor, yes.
but like I think the big thing is that you have this first come first serve policy. So
Yeah.
LSPD is automatically just like, well, BCSO was here first, so I'm going to respect that, even though it's my jurisdiction, and that they don't feel like they can speak up to people who are a higher rank than them from a different office, like. Because like literally I've had multiple officers just be like, well, it's uncomfortable for me to speak up. It would be weird if I did. Because like they're a higher rank than me. I mean, you even see in incidents like with this SK thing and Forte getting like that was BCSO pushing for LSPD officers to get punished. So no wonder that these officers are afraid of speaking up to BCSO because BCSO keeps trying to meddle in their discipline.
Well, that's the thing, and LSPD High Command doesn't back their. The problem is, and this kind of goes back to, in my opinion, is that what should have happened months ago is a line being drawn, and it's like, this is our county, we're running this, and then building up a department of individuals that believe in that vision. But instead, and unfortunately due to both complacency and coddling, now High Command has no options left because they're surrounded still to this day individuals that would rather undermine them rather than build things up, right? And you're never going to succeed with that because any attempt, imagine if our cabinet had naysayers in it, you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to think that I give everyone enough opportunity to give their piece, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been times where I've already disagreed with people, and that's fine. Like,
absolutely. But once a decision is made, we all run with the decision. There is no backing off on it. It's that's how we get so much shit done. But it's LSPD High Command is completely and inherently dysfunctional in that respect, where they have no authority. They've given up that authority. They've bent to that authority. Problem is, though, is that the only way I see it resolving, personally, is if we had somebody that had a backbone and understood the responsibility of a chief of police is not to just their people, but to the people of the county. And I don't know if
role
that
of public
exists.
service. Yes.
Exactly.
Because I think the other thing is too is like you talked about, you know, people who are supportive or who are undermining, and I think one thing that doesn't necessarily automatically occur to people is that like lack of action can be effectively the same as undermining. Like look at, for instance, like Maxwell, right? Like she's really great and she's actively supporting command and whatever. Like, and I wouldn't say that she's ever really like gone out of her way to undermine anything as far as I'm aware of. But like by her sitting in the briefing and not speaking up when BCSO is saying stuff, like that is effectively diminishing LSPD's power in that situation, right? She wasn't actively undermining anything, and I'm not really like shaming Maxwell for it or anything, but like that's just an example of it. If you're not actively standing up for things and actively taking action, then you can still be undermining things even unintentionally.
I agree with that. I've sort of accepted it, right? In the sense that there is that reality that Daisy is still in my mind the best option. Obviously, there's going to be disappointments.
Yeah, I think she's
but there's
wonderful
going to
in
be
many ways.
Also just as much as there's going to be disappointments towards our staffing, right? It's just a reality. But
nobody's perfect.
No, exactly right. People are going to want things. Not everyone's going to be able to achieve what we're looking for. We have to be accepting of that. But I do still yearn for a day that the right name person comes around that has the embodiment of wanting to do the people right and having the balls to tell everyone else to fuck off. And I feel like that's something that I feel has failed San Andreas proper, because I don't even think people are going to begin to trust the police at the level that I think there should be expected trust. Right?
The things I would do for Turner to come back.
Turner would have been the right guy.
Turner is the GOAT. You can never change my mind on it, but
he actually contemplated the position, but he had restricted time. The other two, Turner actually told me, and I still remember this to this day, he believed that Vivian should be unemployed and Ruby should never be anywhere near a command position. And to this day, I agree with him. I remember that line vividly. It was a big it was one of the very many big reasons why I changed my mind on things. Because Turner was someone that would tell you, like, straight how he felt. And
he did, but he also did a really good job of being, like, understanding and patient and willing to listen. But then when it came time to lay down the business, he laid down the business.
The trouble is that the current PD relies on their veterans instead of willing to produce new officers. Actually, oh my God, now that I kind of think about it, it's I don't know if, like, this high command wasn't able to do that. You know what I mean?
I think we should really encourage Moss to do some sort of job fair thing for the PD, because the amount of people I've talked to in the last week or so that have said, I applied for PD 8 months ago and I never heard back, so I guess they don't want me because they don't know that the PD has gone through like 6 rounds of applications since then and thrown all the old ones out. Like, there's a lot of people, right? I think PD publicizing that, like, they're taking new applications, like, if you apply before, come reapply, like, come meet us, like, have a chance to shoot your shot, I think would be massive for them. That way they get to make impressions of people as well, instead of just seeing things on paper.
It is something that we brought up. I'm going to be honest, though, I just don't know if they have the capability
to actually train people they hire.
Not only train, but understand the merit of the job fair. And I'm going to explain why. I don't know, as someone who, I have a very good sense of what we're accomplishing in the mayor's office, right? If one thing's not working, we have something else we're cooking, right?
Yeah.
And so that there's always, like, movement, like, consistently. I don't know if the current establishment has that in them.
That, like, grasp of it?
Yes. And like Barrick earlier, we were talking, and Barrick said, Pred, you're never going to get the PD from back in the day because you had the All-Stars and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I heard him talking. I'm like, what horse shit? Like,
that's a really disappointing take from Barrick, to be honest.
It's not disappointing because the guy's been useless, with all due respect. The guy literally is known as the guy who just sat around nodding his head. Like, the guy took it. That's all he was.
There's nothing to say that, like yes, those people that were back in the day that were great weren't great, right? Like, I'm sure they were, but those people all started somewhere, and to not give new people a chance and the tools to succeed, and they can maybe one day become one of the greats is really, like, to say that you're never going to get anywhere because those people aren't around is a weird take to me. And it kind of reminds me of what I saw when I first came to the city, of these cops who were still trying to get hired when it was still basically a skeleton crew, and they were mad that, you know, PD wasn't really hiring a lot of the old blood. Like, it kind of reminds me of that, where they were like, well, we were here and, you know, we were good, so we should be hired. And it's like, yeah, maybe, sure, but, like, that doesn't mean that new people can't also be good.
Well, it's
also deserving.
It's copium, it's bullshit, and I'm gonna call it out every day of the week. Barrick was useless. Nice guy, useless. He was useless when he was my chief. He was clearly useless when he was his own. He had a month with a non-existent mayor to do something. I gave him room to do something. He did not produce. You're not going to convince Nino Chavez, who has built empire after empire. I mean, look at our fucking cabinet today. I didn't know you people, like, with all due respect. Like, I didn't know you guys. You guys didn't even know me. And all it took was, I don't know, a little bit of fucking leadership and finding people who are motivated and building from that. Like if I was living another life, I couldn't create a police department? Are you kidding me? Like, no, it's the difference between laziness and non-laziness. You know what I'm saying? Like, if tomorrow we needed to say we're wiping the PD, right? I don't think this is the right atmosphere. But I I don't want to like hype you too much, but I feel like I could put you as chief of police. I bet you could figure out what is up and down. You could find people that are interested in a vision and literally build a PD in a 3-month time span. And I think
Probably,
anyone
yeah.
who thinks that's not possible is actually dumb as shit and probably
I mean,
spend
like-
most of their life bagging groceries at fucking Stop and Shop or like flipping burgers. Because
In
this
my
shit
case,
ain't
like
that
there's fundamentals
complicated.
of there's fundamentals of policing I don't have experience in or necessarily understanding of, right? Like I haven't been a cop, but like I still understand a lot of the fundamentals of, law and, how police work should be conducted. And when I don't know, I can learn or have people I can have to fill in my gaps, right? Like, and that's what anyone who fills that role needs to look for is
Well,
yes, you
it's
might not be the best at having a backbone, but then find an ass chief or a lieutenant or a captain or someone who is that you can have do those things.
yeah.
You might not be the most court knowledgeable person.
I
Find someone who you can put in your command that is to support you in those things. Like, and it's just
well,
speak to people, give them chances. Like it's not that difficult.
but it comes back down to the training aspect, right? Like, take for example Maxwell. She takes out people a lot, right?
Yeah.
Now, is she the only one? Well, the excuse is, well, everyone else is burnt out. So where are your other people? I guarantee you there's people in this city that we come across on a daily basis. Hell, I swear to God, and I'm telling you this, May, you have a better understanding of law than most cops do.
Well,
And I say that because you're relying on common sense, and that's mostly policing.
in fairness, and full transparency, I had about 2 years or so of working alongside more rural police departments and understanding how they applied law. So, while I don't necessarily understand all the fancy court stuff, I've got, a pretty good basis of things.
Yeah,
And
but
also a year, working alongside rural governments. So
and fair enough, but I take a point back at the cabinet, and Tilly, she was my client. I ran into you in a psych session. Fucking Michael literally was making art for us. Archibald was a random guy that called me because he wanted to be a legal aid. Who else is in our cabinet? Abilene, random lawyer, right? Literally each one of you guys, I met you for like less than 30 minutes before bringing you on. Ava, literally just somebody that used to talk to me about G6 when I was fixing it. Like, these are like, and look what each person is. Ava's a fucking judge again. Achi is like fucking crushing it. Michael's writing a ton of legislation. You're like taking up all these other. The only thing you need is fucking passion. You don't go through the bin and look for half-charged batteries and say, you know what, this battery's worked before, so let me put it inside the fucking Game Boy. No, your fucking Game Boy is gonna shut off.
well, I think
Like-
the thing is you need someone who has that battery, right? But you also need to have the personal capabilities and the tools surrounding yourself to keep that battery charged. Because I think,
Yeah.
let's be honest, like a lot of cadets come in with passion, right? But by the time they reach officer or maybe senior officer, like, or even sometimes PPO, that passion is kind of gone. They're feeling defeated because they couldn't get training or because of whatever, right? Like, I mean, I came into dispatch, for instance, and I had passion about it, and I was excited, and I was there every day, and I worked really hard on my training sessions. I was studying when I, wasn't working. Like, I had passion for it, but I couldn't get training, and I got discouraged, and I got frustrated, and eventually, things were toxic, and I said enough was enough, right? Like, you have people that are coming in with passion, but it is your responsibility as leadership to keep them engaged and passionate and supported and feeling like they are capable of accomplishing stuff.
The thing is, though, what I fear is that the encouragement and the discouragement is based on the wrong merits. Like, during this conversation with the judges, and I tried to point this out, is I don't even believe, even when I speak to current PD, that they realize that it's okay not to go to every call. And that because, like, take, for example, the Hydra case. It's a bad case. You have your cop who's on LOA. And I like Den. I am literally one of the only reasons that Den is still a cop. Genuinely. I found a way to keep him as a cop. And even I say, fuck Den on God. If he decides to go on vacation during that, then drop the case. But the unfortunate response I hear is, but so many people put in so much work into it. You're not their mom. That's how you get childish behavior. You know what I mean? Like, I may come across a dick, and I'm sure you've seen it come out. Like, even I've yelled at Michael. I've had to, you know, I've yelled at even some of
I didn't
our
like you at first because you seemed like a dick. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because I'm working with adults, not children, right? And I'm your boss. If you're doing something that's not in line of the vision of myself, then I say no. It's simple as that. And then boom. Not, oh my God. Oh, you know, it's like Maeve. Oh yeah, you know, Maeve had a psych thing and the guy went crazy and became a serial killer. You think the conversation's gonna go, oh no, you know, poor Maeve, she worked so hard on the serial killer and now he's like, you know, doing all kinds of wild shit. I'd be like, Maeve, what the fuck? You know? Like, oh, poor Maeve.
Well,
no, it's fine. Like, let him go to 5150 and like whatever. Like, you know, and she put so much work into it.
The thing is,
Like,
right,
that's
it's
not-
like, yes, people put a lot of work in that, and we should try and honor that if we can. But and Den is a load to take an LOA, but it was also Den's responsibility, if he knew that he was going to be stepping away for a while, to prepare people to be able to handle this without him. And if he did not do that and the case needed to be dropped, that's not on anyone but Den. If Den is the one leading this and he's the one taking charge in it, Den should have
Yes.
prepared people to handle it in his absence, knowing that he was going to take an LOA.
Precisely.
And then if he didn't do that and it had to be dropped because they just couldn't do it without him, well then that's Den's fault.
I feel like these are such simple concepts, and it's crazy to me that they're foreign concepts in this day and age.
It's the same way we all say, you know, like Archie was sick for a couple days and he let us all know. So that if there was anything Archie was working on that was time sensitive, we can pick up that slack, right? Like Michael's been gone. He let us know. Like and the same thing, like, you know, you all were gone for like 3 days and I was like the only cabinet member in the city, which, you know, is fine. Like, take your breaks, do your things, live your lives. But like I sat here and I said, okay, well, I'm not gonna let the cabinet grind to a halt. I will find tasks that I can accomplish on my own and make sure I'm still listening to people and that things are still functioning in their absence.
So how do you fix
Am
that?
I able to
Let me
what?
float a crazy idea. What if we actually did put someone completely fresh?
As chief of police? I mean, it's not the worst idea.
And stated that their job was to create, you know what the original plan was? That a satellite department gets created off on the side and that the current PD continues to exist. And, but the thing is, it requires someone that is willing to, put their foot down when it comes to their inherent responsibilities.
I think the only concern I would have with that is, and I guess I'm looking at this through a lens
We're not actually going to do
like,
this. I'm just...
I mean, let's be honest, I'm not saying you would pick me, I'm saying like the easiest way for me to look at this is me, right? Because like as someone who would be fresh that like, you know, like, and I think my biggest concern would be if you're picking someone's fresh is, do they understand what a cop is going through on a day-to-day basis and the problems that they face? Do they have ideas on how to solve those things? Do they understand the basics of policing? Like, if you have someone that's totally fresh and totally new, like for me, for instance, I don't know how to patrol. I can't drive. I've never shot a gun. Like, you know, like I don't know those things. But like, if you're picking someone for an administrative role and they think, you know, you think they have administrative skills, then I think that's different. I guess it's just determining what kind of department you're trying to create and what sort of skills you want them to have. But I don't think having someone entirely fresh is a bad idea. You might run into,
I think it'd
I
be
know, like,
interesting.
I think when you appointed Daisy, there was like,
Oh, hello?
did Tilly Ocean dump you?
Yeah.
um, I think the thing is, oh fuck, what was my train of thought?
For a disclaimer, these are conversations that I think we need to approach. Even though I don't believe it's going to work out, I do think we have to float it in the event.
There's nothing wrong with brainstorming ideas.
That's exactly.
Like, yeah, nothing says you have to stick with them. But I think it's determinant on the type of department you're trying to build, what you want its function to be, what you want that role for that person to entail. But I don't think having someone that's green is necessarily an inherent problem. I think the only concern I would really have with that is that can they fulfill whatever responsibilities of their role and that department that you are envisioning. And then you have to be mindful that there's going to be people who are going to react the way that you did or that they did when you appointed Daisy of who the fuck is she? Where does she come from? You know, is this a Nepo hire? Let's be honest. Like, like in those concerns. And, maybe you give a fuck about those, maybe you don't, but, there's still something to keep in mind. And I think that's about it, really.
I think it's something we have to constantly keep in the back of our minds.
Like, for instance, if the marshals function the way the marshals, but like if the marshals, for instance, like if we were going to create an office like the marshals, let's say the marshals didn't exist, right? But we wanted to create an office that filled the role the marshals are supposed to be filling, that more administrative oversight one, right? It's less important that someone knows how to patrol or knows how to conduct a traffic stop. But if they have the administrative skills and understanding of what these like legal things are supposed to entail, like that's different, right? So I think it sort of depends on what sort of satellite department you would want to create and what you envision the responsibilities of that role being.
I think it would be a department that sets the expectation that it is city first, and they inherently control every fucking scene. Daisy's calling.
Okay.
Keep cooking on it. Keep cooking on it.
Yeah, I'll work on the toe stuff too. I'm probably gonna be heading to bed shortly.
All right.
But I think let me just double check that I didn't have anything very quick to go over with you. That. The only other thing is that Roderick Stone had a business proposal that he wasn't sure went through and he wanted to double check for Mats Aplenty. So that's the only other note I had for you. I will work on toe stuff as best I can and keep you updated on that. And let me know if you want any help with the DOC stuff. I know there's not much that we can probably do about that, but I have a good relationship with them. So if you want help with that or want me to tag along or for anything with like Moss or whatever, feel free to let me know.
I'd say figure out, I would chat with BCSO, see what's going on with their payment and see if there's something we can do alongside the PD.
You mean about the pay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right. All right, Maeve. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
All right.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.